Music for global change. Creating music that inspires the world. Welcome to the Music for Global Change broadcast. And now here's your hosts, founder and music ambassador Skyler Jett with Deborah, Fennella and Tom Bryant.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to start a revolution? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to start a revolution?
Okay. Greetings, welcome to the Music for Global Change broadcast. Hello, I'm Deborah Fennella here with the founder and music ambassador Skyler Jett and Tom Bryant, and we are really excited and blessed to be interviewing the wonderful Raz Kennedy. Now, Raz Kennedy is a highly regarded San Francisco Bay Area based vocal performance veteran and music educator. He has assisted thousands of singers as a vocal instructor and a producer, refining vocal techniques and performance skills for singers over the past 40 years. He's a founding member of famed Bobby McFerrin's Voicestra and has performed as a background vocalist on recordings for legendary artists including Whitney Houston and many others as well, including Sting. So welcome to Music Global Change, Raz. How are you?
No, I couldn't be better. I was flattered that Skyler reached out to me to participate.
Wonderful to have you on the show. And you've done wonderful things over the years, in the music industry. But one thing I would really love to ask you is, what does music for global change and social conscious music mean to you?
Well, I mean, when I hear that, I'm imagining music being used as a functional tool to connect people, to create more of a sense of community, where boundaries are blurred, where folks can actually interface and connect with one another in a way where we can actually take in and exchange our knowledge, our pains, our joys, our affection. It's a way for us to, it's basically about communication. Music is a communicative exercise. Music is used as a way to connect in ways where simple language fails. Sometimes words don't quite do it, where music can reach the heart in a more exacting way. So that's kind of like what I'm imagining, music being used as a way to really connect hearts together, which is where we all connect. We find a way to really interface when we're reaching each other through
Most
the heart,
definitely.
rather than from the head.
Yeah.
Have you written any social conscious songs yourself?
Well, I've always found it challenging and difficult to sing songs that don't quite resonate in a way that fits my kind of worldview. I've only have found music to be meaningful when it speaks to people connecting, or if it speaks to where people can participate in what's called self-inquiry, when you're really trying to become more enlightened about who you are, why you're here, and how we can in some way find that kind of a principle in each other. So I've only, in a way, have performed music when it's coming from that kind of a premise, where it's about really finding a way to connect with one another, and also to, first of all, to connect with yourself, because we're strangers to ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you can't quite get in touch with like who you are, it's going to be more of a challenge to really interface with someone else. So music for me has always been about how can we become more enlightened about who we are, and then how we can find ourselves connecting with one another where there's a sense of union, so that we're transcending this sense of duality, but where there's oneness. Like Marley said, one love.
Yes.
That's always been something that's been important to me from as far back as I can remember, really. So music for me has always been about that. So sure, I've been in projects where that's been the incentive, where that's been the objective. Most of my projects, when I've been a performer, has been about that.
Right.
when I've worked with Bobby McFerrin, when I've worked with Rebecca Moleon, it's always been about trying to find a way in which, people can connect. That's where I found, what reflects what's important to me as an artist in
Right.
projects of that kind.
Who were some of your favorite social conscious artists?
Well, I mean, growing up, I'm a child of the 60s. I was born in 53, so
Yeah.
the 60s was especially a time where people were beginning to challenge the status quo, were beginning to ask questions, or we were beginning to question authority. And when people were looking for an alternative to the conventions of the time. So, I was very much involved in the civil rights movement. So, I mean, the music of that time, and also the anti-war movement, the music of that time was really addressing those concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had, everything from Jimi Hendrix to Marvin Gaye to Curtis Mayfield, even, the staple singers. Everybody was really reaching out in a way to cross over. At that time, the ideas of musical genres it was more blurred. You could have, rock artists performing with blues artists. So again, a lot of the music of that time, the Chambers Brothers, Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yeah.
You had artists that were really talking about change and about, again, self-inquiry. And today's artists, we have quite a few, like India Ari. I think it's an amazing singer-songwriter that's really speaking again about really reflecting on oneself and seeing how we can perceive the oneness in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the artists of my day were definitely artists that were talking about social change because that was the climate of the time. We were fighting for that. I mean, that's what we were out there trying to do, and the music reflected that.
That's right. Your band, Identity, you did some social conscious songs in that.
Yeah, I was working with a Saudi writer, a poet, a storyteller, and he was really speaking about mostly self-inquiry, about really coming into a sense of self-acceptance. He was a gay guy. He was also from Saudi Arabia. He came from quite a wealthy family, but of course, as you know, in that culture, homosexuality isn't that well accepted. So,
right.
So he was writing songs about how we can break out of these structures that keep us hemmed in. It was identity crises, and you were involved with that. The music was more about self-acceptance, and we did quite a bit of work with that, and the music got out there and was well received. It wasn't really a commercially successful thing, but on a critical basis, it was really well received, and we got a lot of accolades for the work and for the mission.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a Pour His Own Love project, transcending the communication breakdown. That was something I was doing with Paulina Bush. We were really working with concepts to help people really understand how we miss each other through our communication and how we can find ourselves becoming more empathetic to the other, to make so that when we're communicating, we can be more clear about, it's the whole idea of learning how to listen. We spend so much time putting out, our lips are flapping, but we spend very little time listening, learning how to listen. Not only to listening to what's coming in from the outside, but really listening for what's coming up for us internally. So that project was all about learning how to listen as a way to find connection.
Yeah. No, Joey and I did a couple of concerts with you.
You did. That was, I'm so sorry that ended, because that to me had a huge potential. We did some shows though. We did 2 shows.
Yeah, we did was it the Jazz School or something like that in Berkeley? And
Jazz School, and we did the Great American Music Hall.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
And we also did Sweetwater.
Yeah, man. I mean,
we had a great turnout for.
Yeah.
We had your songs, and you had some great songs, Skyler.
Thank you, brother.
Songs. I think it was called "The Rhythm of Life." Was that the name of that tune? That one tune we did from.
We did "Meet Me Down by the Water."
We did that for sure. Yeah. That was a lovely song. Great. Tempo ballad.
Well, it's going to be great when you put the band together over in Malmo. Because I know some talent over there too. And I'd love to come do something with you over there when you get something done.
You must, man. I've always admired and have been moved by your voice. Your singing is so, it reaches people. You know, you really know how to meet people with what you do as a singer.
I love you, brother. Thank you, man, so much. Tom, you got a question?
You are very keen to develop the next generation of talent. How do you go about getting hold of people, and how do people interact with you when they're coming into it? Do you get people coming to you via your website, or how do they come to you to work with you?
Well, you know, my website certainly does reach people. The internet's been quite a blessing in that regard.
Yeah.
More than anything, it's just been because of the fact that I've been doing this since 1980.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And have been very involved with it in a very committed way. It's just really word of mouth mostly. You know, it's just that, you know, your name circulates after a while, and I've been doing it for this long. And when you kind of stay in one spot and you're keeping yourself active in that way, and I've also made a real effort to keep advancing my knowledge as it pertains to vocal awareness, so that it's mostly word of mouth, you know, after a while when you've been doing this for a while and when you can be effective, and people see that what you do and gets results, then, you know, it's just a matter of, I don't really solicit. It's just that folks find me. I do my best to try to really accommodate the needs of the singer. You know, I don't come into a situation with sort of a ready-made one-shoe-fits-all. I really try to customize what I do to suit the needs of the singer. I'll always ask the singer, what is it that you want to do? What's your need? What is it that you find most important and most urgent for you to achieve as a singer? And then I do my best to accommodate that singer to achieve that specific goal.
Yeah.
So I really try to give the singer it's not about me, it's not about my taste, it's not about what I think they should do, it's not about what I think defines a great singer. I mean, if you want to come in and sound like Tom Waits, then we will find a way to do that. And do it in a way where you don't hurt yourself. That's the important thing. Yeah. Because my point of view is that every sound can be achieved. It's a matter of knowing what to do from a technique standpoint to achieve what you're trying to do, and in a way that doesn't compromise the health of the voice. So that's my incentive. And if there's something I cannot do, I try to do my very best to refer them to people that I think can give them what it is that they're trying to do, because I certainly don't know everything and can't do everything, but there are so many incredibly talented people out there that are in this same business, where if I can't do it, then I make every effort to direct them to where they can find the resources to give them what they're looking for.
There's so many talented people on this side of the water that don't get a chance to get heard on the other side of the water, and that's what Music for Global Change is about, right? I've written a lot of songs that are duets, and I'm bringing some people in, a brother from Ghana, brother from Copenhagen, and several other people. When I do the Music for Global Change show, I bring these other singers in and I sing with them, and then I show their talent, have them do a couple of their songs and stuff like that. Yeah, man, you got to shine the light on people, man, and you know. And since I had my heart attack, man, I'm gonna try to give more love than I ever gave before.
That's probably the silver lining in why that happened. It just brought you more, into a more profound sense of who you are and your mission while you're here. It's galvanized your dharmic purpose. It's a blessing, my man.
I'm definitely in touch with my soul purpose right now, right? And I've been doing Music for Global Change for 20 years, and now I couldn't get a fly to land on me back in the Bay Area, so I
had to come to England to get something done, Skyler.
get a runway. I had to come get a runway over here, But it's really wonderful because people are accepting it, and there's 330 million Americans, but there's 960 million Europeans. So, you got an amazing chance over here. You know what I mean? Deborah, you got another question?
I noticed actually that you travelled throughout Latin America, including Cuba and Brazil, to perfect and command your polyrhythms.
Yeah.
Please, can you explain to the viewers about polyrhythms? Because not everyone will understand what a polyrhythm is.
Oh, polyrhythm. Yeah, well, polyrhythm is when you have, you have two basic ideas, rhythmic ideas. You can think in two. And then you can also think in three, right? So if you can think like 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Then you can also think in 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So in Western music, for the most part, you're either thinking in 2 or you're thinking in 3.
Yes.
The thing that makes African music quite unique, which is why we've got swing and funk and why we've got things like a shuffle, is because those rhythms were... in Africa, the African mind it's really trippy because they think both meters simultaneously, like they cross-fade the two.
Right.
So it's not like it's 2 or just 3. It's actually a sense of the two rhythms coming together into this hybrid, which then gives us those kinds of rhythmic idioms that we find in Afro-Cuban music, shuffle, swing. That's how we get the swing feel in music by the idea of 2 against 3. So if I'm going and B, bop and bop, right? If you're looking at one hand, you got one hand doing 2, with the other hand's doing 3.
3.
The left hand's going 1, 2, right? 1, 2. But then at the right hand's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So when you start with that and then you throw the subdivisions into that, oh my God, does it ever get funky?
It's amazing.
Yeah. There's things that go on in singing. Our instruments, our body. It's not like we can plug it into the wall like the rest of the guys.
No.
Right?
It's very true.
And if you don't show up, you ain't got that sound, right?
Yeah.
No.
But what goes on in singing, especially, and I tell people, background singing is way harder than lead singing.
Yes.
Lead singing, you're just a free bird, right? But with background, you got to synchronize with other people. You got to breathe at the same time.
Yes.
You got to make sure you stay. If you go flat, you didn't give the note enough energy. If you want to go sharp, you gave it too much. And then the other thing is, you got to cut the note off at the same time. And then it's emotion. So all these things have to come together as being a singer, right? You got to make somebody believe. And so when you go out to perform, even though you've done that song 1,000 times, when you do this song again in this new arena, those people paid their money to come get that same emotion from you.
Yes.
Something about the way you sang that, they want to see you. And it's like, you got to, I love looking at people right in the eyes, because they go, hey, that brother, he made me feel like I was his friend. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
They want that. Performances.
They do.
I love recording, but nothing like performing.
Yeah.
It's the connection, though, isn't it? Like you say, you're connecting with your audience when you're on that stage, aren't you?
That's right. I remember.
Isn't it, to connect with the audience, most definitely.
When I helped Sly's sister bring Sly Stone back out, I'll never forget the first gig we did was at Disney, right? And nobody thought he was going to show up because he had a little problem back in the day, and all that. But anyway, he was stage right behind the curtain, right? So we did about 4 songs. They go, I told you he ain't going to show up. But then when he came out from behind the curtain, I'm watching people crying.
Oh, bless him.
They before he sang a note, they were just happy to see him because he's been an enigma for many years, right?
Yes.
And I, when we did Vegas, right, and we're going down the elevator, me and his sister with some people, and they was betting in the elevator that he wasn't going to show up.
Were they?
Right. And we didn't say nothing, we just let them bet, right? So what happened was, and I mean, there was a line out the door, the casino, right? And so when we came on, we would always do like 3 songs before he come on and stuff like that. But the people, I told you wasn't going to show up again, right? So they was making bets. So they start going out of the theater to go get their money. All of a sudden they heard.
Oh no, really?
So all of a sudden they heard his voice, and now they run it back in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
you know what I mean? These are icons, and you know, God, you have two imprints. You got imprints on your fingers and your voice. All of us can switch and go to different countries and call each other tomorrow and go, hey, Raz, because I know your voice, right?
Mm.
He gave us that. That's why I tell singers, hey, before I produce them, I say, I don't want you listening to the radio 2 months before I do you, because I want to hear what's coming out of you. I want to hear what's inside of you, not somebody that you're studying. It could be one saxophone, and different people can play it, and it sound different. I did an experiment one time where I had 5 bands play the same song. And because every human being has their own sound, even though they were playing all the notes right, it still sound different because you have your own sound. I'm so glad I've been in music for 55 years. I don't know what to do, you know. My mom was a singer, my grandmother was a singer, and my aunt was a singer, and my dad wasn't around, so I had to go to church every day with them. So you imagine I'm 6 years old in the church. So after school, I had to do my homework, and then my mom would take me to church because she had to rehearse with the choir, right? And so I'll never forget this, man. So we 6 years old. How you go get a 6 years old to stay still, right? and my mom would have to be up there for 2 hours. So we would duck down under the chairs and stuff like that, right? And then we start crawling. My mom would say, "I'm gonna kick your ass if you leave that chair one more time, right?" But we get out, start crawling, and we'd be up all up in the pastor's office and stuff, moving papers around it. So she said, "I know what to do." She put me in the choir, and then I couldn't do that no more.
No.
Yeah, she said, "You can't do that no more. I know what to do to you." Raz, is your family musicians too, talent like that?
No, I was influenced by my mother, but not because she was an artist. She was in the business of music. She was in marketing, promotion, and publicity in the music business. So as a kid growing up, I was around music, but because my mom was in the business.
Right.
She was the first woman and the first woman of color, the person of color, to have an executive position with a major record company.
Okay.
She started out as the publicist for the Platters back in the 50s. That was her first gig.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
She moved on until she ended up working under Clive Davis at Columbia.
Yeah.
And she was the only person of color in that whole division. And for Epic Records, she handled the whole West Coast division in promotion.
Yeah.
So she was quite a maverick, but that was what got me into music. And in fact, I think it was because my mom was so invested in her career where I never really got to see her much. My grandmother raised me to provide the opportunity for my mom to do the music business thing. You have to remember that at that time, women were not really perceived as career material if it was known that they had kids, because they didn't see that a woman could have a career and be a mom at the same time. So as a kid growing up, we had to play off like we weren't her kids, that we were her siblings.
Yeah, okay.
I could never call my mother. I had to call her by her name anytime we were in public.
Wow.
And she didn't live with us because she really wanted to keep that separation. So when my grandmother raised us. But it was because I think my mom was so invested in supporting musicians. I think that was what compelled me to get into music. It was an attempt on my part to hopefully attract my mother's attention.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into music. I kind of sometimes think that why I find myself supporting artists more than performing as an artist is because if I was left to my own devices, I think I would have been a doctor.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I find myself coaching and supporting artists and producing artists, because it's a way to serve as someone who can help encourage people, to help empower people, to help give people a way to process, to move away the blocks that can allow them to be more expressive. I think that's why I find myself coaching more than performing because, in a way, that was really, I think, my calling. So I found myself gravitating more in that direction, even though I started out as a musician. I think it was because it was an attempt, like I say, to attract my mother's affection and attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting journey. So that was my that was my door into a musical kind of career.
Raz, I love you so much, my brother. And I love you for taking the time to come on our show, man, and express your feelings and love for everybody. And like I said, I'm going to move people. Now that you're over here, I'm going to tell singers about you so that, you know, now that I know you can teach online, you're going to, I mean, there's so many people that I want to turn you on to. But thank you for taking the time, brother. I love you.
Thanks
Namaste.
for joining us.
Humanity.